Some startups go up, others go down. Welcome to GeekWire's elevator pitch, where 3 entrepreneurs pitch their businesses in the 48 seconds it takes to get to the top of Seattle's first skyscraper, the Smith Tower. Over the course of 9 episodes, we'll narrow the field from 27 entrepreneurs to 1 winner. In this episode of Elevator Pitch, presented by Smartsheet, we'll hear from 3 startup founders as they pitch their emerging businesses to our panel of leading investors and entrepreneurs. T.A. McCann, a serial software entrepreneur, professional sailor, and managing director at Pioneer Square Labs. He sold his last company to Google and counts Rival IQ and more than a half-dozen other startups to his name. Jennifer Saran, Smartsheet CFO and Stockpile Inc. investor, who has banked executive experience at companies including Box, Quotient, and eBay. Heather Redman, power broker and former Getty Images executive, who cuts deals as the managing director of venture capital firm Flying Fish Partners. The clock is ticking. Jump on board and ride with us on the elevator pitch and find out which entrepreneur has what it takes to make it to the top.
My name is Barrett Newberry, CEO and founder of Leasera.
Welcome to Smith Tower.
The rental demographic is the most vibrant, digitally savvy, and fastest growing consumer group across the earth. And yet, the rental model has never changed. That's why our group of executives and accomplished entrepreneurs have banded together to solve a problem. How do you give consumers optionality and flexibility within a single network so that they're not fragmented? We created a unified lease of properties across a magnitude of different term types and gave them a universal lease to stay anywhere for any duration across our network. This gives optionality and flexibility that has never taken place and allows us to drive benefits both to the property owner and the consumer they've never had before.
As a renter, what do I get that I don't get in the current model today?
So currently right now, you are forced to go through Airbnb for your home type rental. You're forced to go to the hotel group for your hotel rental, and you're forced to go to your OTA or your online travel association, or to the apartment complex down the street to go for your viewing. And you still don't know exactly what it is that you're getting. And so instead with us, you're given 1 lease, 1 network, any type of renting.
But so for me, the idea is I'm going to give you guys a certain amount of money, and then whatever and wherever I want to be, you're going to take care of that for me?
So the nice thing is that we have a merge. We're meeting you in the middle. And so you deal with your rent the same way that you did before, and the owner of that property deals with their income in the same way that they did before. The only difference is that we now have a lease that controls that relationship and that allows that individual to schedule, and we have immense amounts of predictability with our consumers that never took place before.
How does your revenue model work?
Our revenue model is somewhat of an amalgamation between your long-term rent property manager and your Airbnb marketer. And so we take a percentage of all transactions.
How do you attract the landlords into doing this versus them just doing it direct and cutting out the middleman?
Yeah, so we see that every single either short-term marketing company or long-term property management firm has grown 30% year over year at minimum. And so we know that a lot of these individuals, which accounts for roughly 80% of all property owned, is actually getting a little bit more enchanted with the idea of having a more simplistic management system to use themselves.
Approximately how many nights, stays have you had run through the platform?
So on the long-term side, we are now into our 7th month. And on the short-term side, and so that's roughly several thousand. And then on the short-term side, we've had just a handful that we're starting to work with now. And so we're transitioning those people back and forth successfully, finally, which is super exciting.
Big space, congratulations.
It's massive, and we're so glad to be able to finally merge that gap.
I have one question around challenges.
Please.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing in getting this broad marketplace put together and successful?
I think that nobody's going to shine you on and say that marketplaces aren't complex. The nice thing is that we have a multi-tiered engagement plan where We also have automated back office tools that really intrigue some of our partnerships, as well as our own privately managed properties, as well as creating additional supplemental partnerships through those hotel groups and through those property networks that allow us to utilize that lease and give our consumers that optionality and flexibility finally that they were looking for.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm still struggling to understand what the core business is and what the value prop is to both sides of the transaction.
Yeah, I think that's why I was trying to get at, like, the ideal customer profile. So if you were to say, oh, it's a person who moves between locations a lot, therefore doesn't want a long-term lease, and Airbnb is too short and too much variability, and I could potentially see that, but he didn't say that.
Hi, I'm YC from Lubn. We designed the first LTE smart lock box.
Welcome to Smith Tower.
Are you a property manager? Have you spent too many weekends on managing people's in and out to the property that you manage? I'm founder of Reuben. We designed the first LTE smart key box connecting managers, guests, and contractors. Reuben box is easy to use without complex setup. You can use our app to manage your booking as well as automate the services. Your guests can easily check in by dialing the number on the key box for the keys without additional app install. Right after checkout, a cloud system will automatically notify your contractors to come service the properties. With 12 months data connection, Reuben box is priced at $199.
So if you're a property manager that is currently using a VRBO or an Airbnb, can you use this platform to integrate with that so that you're not necessarily doing the booking through your solution, but doing all of this sort of administrative work that goes in to renting and then closing it out after?
That's a great idea. We haven't got that far yet, but right now we are working with those platforms. We're trying to get the APIs in order to do these smart booking kind of things for the managers. So yes, we are trying to achieve that goal.
So who's the ideal customer for you?
Right. So right now we are focusing on 2B market. 2B. So we've been talking to different kind of property managers or property management companies. They manage property anywhere between 10 to a bit over 100 properties. Those are our target audience. So it's on demand. Every time they have property for rent, first they need to set up the Wi-Fi, activate the Wi-Fi, change the door lock, connect the door lock with Wi-Fi, and then they can manage the property. Once, maybe a few weeks later, the tenant is there, they have to reset everything and do all this again.
What about, it seems like the whole real estate market with how it's changing right now. We've got Redfin and Zillow, here in town now selling property, real estate property. What about the whole real estate market? I mean, if you truly know who's going into the house, when they're going in, when they leave, that the house is locked, unlocked, don't need agents anymore at all because you know who to hold accountable for any damage that's been done or any theft? I mean, what about that market for you guys?
One of our companies are real estate companies, and we are providing them the pilot units, and we are addressing this kind of markets. Once they use this product, basically they know who exactly they enter the properties, they get out the property. Right now, for the real estate market, they have their own solutions. It's a very closed system. You don't have to be a registered realtor to use this product. So yes, they can be our
What's your revenue?
Right now, we just started deploying some pilot units. By the end of this year, actually in a few weeks, we will have 500 units here in the US. For each device, right now it's priced at $199. If you look at the market today, there are 2 million active real estate realtors in the US. And a lot of them are still relying on the technology that was available like 10 years ago.
How much does it cost to build one of the products?
So right now the cost of doing this product is at $85 to $90. It depends on the rate. So that is where we are at. After 1 year free subscription, it's $15 per month.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent job.
What'd you think?
I mean, I'm an Airbnb owner, and I think it's pretty interesting. We have this problem
Yeah.
as a property manager, albeit small, of who's checked in, what's the key, do I feel like the code's different when they checked out?
Yeah, no, me too. I think there's going to be a lot of evolution here and a lot of solutions. I think it could be a compelling proposition. I'd want to know much more about their design team and their marketing team, because to me, this is all about, you know, capturing the aesthetic and the experience of developing something that's a consumer product as well as a utility is really important.
I think they are creating a product that makes sense for today. I think a lot of the nuts and bolts of a door are still kind of built on older technology. So I think it's a good platform. I'm also a property owner that rents on VRBO. And so I see value in that. I also see $199 a year is pretty affordable for the landlord, and then the $15 a month. What I think they need to be cognizant of how the market is going to evolve, and making sure that they continue to innovate such that they can eventually maybe integrate some of this into other avenues of the process.
Hi, my name is Dan Greenshields. I'm the CEO of JetClosing. JetClosing is a next generation title and escrow company helping brokers and buyers and sellers of real estate close those transactions. Welcome to Smith Tower. So JetClosing is a 2.5-year-old growth company. We have over 50 employees currently. We operate in 4 markets. We're targeting to grow into 10, which will be approximately half the U.S. market. Total market size in the United States is $20 billion annually. Currently, JetClosing is at a $6 million annual run rate in revenue. Our Jet Cloud infrastructure is next generation, 100% cloud-based. We deliver to a mobile app. We have flat fee escrow. Our low cost structure allows us to close transactions in 2 days. We also provide brokers' commissions and seller proceeds in less than 60 minutes after recording. It's a very consumer-friendly product, and we specialize in drama-free closing. So next time you buying a house or selling a house, ask your broker why you're not using JetClosing.
Seems like this market is really rapidly changing, and you are in a great place to provide sort of the lubrication to allow it to be more efficient and to transact more quickly. And so it's just a really great place to be. I'm interested, normally we don't encourage this in companies that, that pitch here, because we want them to focus. But talk to me a little bit about the big world domination vision. What's on the roadmap after you continue to conquer this market?
A couple of things. I think you're exactly right. I share that view. Other industries, and one of the reasons I seized and kind of jumped on this opportunity and was presented to me almost 3 years ago now, was I have a belief that you'll see a velocity increase in real estate as some of the friction is removed from the transaction. Historically, it's about 10% to transact a house, and some are less, some are more, but I think you're going to see that decline to probably less than 5 in the next 10 years and probably less than 2 over 20 or 30 years. And I think you may see some velocity increase, and that real estate becomes more liquid as an asset class for residential and commercial. So our expansion opportunities, we think we can go into commercial. There's about 6 million residential transactions in the US. There's just under 1 million commercial, depending on how you define it. That's a massive expansion opportunity. We think we also can go into the data business and provide more data to ancillary services. We also think we can go into the mortgage origination business. We also, so in terms of expanding, we're pretty focused on getting our distribution and the product nailed here before we extend into some of those other adjacent spaces. But we're collecting data. We have some other pretty cool ideas on just some unique IP that we think we can deliver value on property that we're in a unique position because of all the data that we collect. It's actually a pretty high margin business with not a lot of capital intensity. So it's, I'm pretty excited about it. Getting people to change is difficult, so with the traditional realtors, but I'm not the one forcing that. I think the market is going to force that. I'm just there to provide the lubricant and a lower cost service.
So I understand the old competition. You're really disrupting in this area, but is there anyone else trying to do what you're doing that makes it difficult?
Yeah, the competitors in this space are, I don't underestimate them. They've been around post-Civil War. That's when this industry started, when there was land scams, and most of them are 140 years old. They have some legacy system issues, cost issues. There are a few new startups that have been capitalized recently. We're not seeing in the field any direct competition yet. There's been several others, one in New York, and a couple in San Francisco, but they're not, again, we don't see their product in the market. We just see we hear about their pitches. So we believe there will be more competitors. As again, anything with good margins and growth will attract competitions, just like a picnic attracts ants.
How easy is it to get into a new state? How long does it take? What does it cost?
Great question. It depends on the state. Some states are as fast as 60 days. Other states can be a year. California is a little bit lengthy. We've been in that process for almost 6 months now. We expect to get that probably by Q4. Texas and Nevada were pretty fast, and same with Arizona. They were, in the 60 to 90 day time frame. So it just depends and they get really parochial. Like in Nevada, I'll tell you a story. One of our checks for basically our license fee had to be issued from a Nevada domiciled bank with a Nevada address on the check. Like Wells Fargo, San Francisco wasn't good enough. So you run into those types of what I call local issues.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a fascinating business. I think there is a lot of opportunity there. I wonder how long it will take for them to get to every state in the U.S. I was surprised to hear that it can take up to a year.
Well, if they've got New York, Texas, and California, that's a lot of the market.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's a very specific problem that sits in the middle of a financial transaction that is generally perceived by most people as inefficient, and that they've built an efficient product to go do that, and also sort of taken a very methodical approach to, let's start in one state, let's get it working well, let's move to a second state, let's get that working well. What's been interesting about this business is that they weren't predicting the fly homes type of business. They didn't know that was going to happen.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that happened, and they were just positioned incredibly well for someone who does not one closing, but two closings on the same property in a relatively short period of time. And it cares a lot about efficiency and cares about cost.
Yeah.
And they just happen to be, it's like one of those happy startup stories where you're working, then somehow the market changed to create an opportunity for you that you weren't planning.
Thanks, you guys. Really fun to listen to. So I get to give feedback to you, Dan. I'm very impressed with the business. You have the unique problem of being a very young company that is already a big company and growing very rapidly. We'd love to see you just keep thinking bigger, dreaming bigger, make space for yourself and your team to continue to stretch and grow in that regard.
YC, really like the proposition. And as an Airbnb manager who has to deal with lots of people coming in and out, I could feel the pain and the opportunity for the product. As you evolve, again, based on the view of the particular, whoever that particular customer is, and being crisper about that. But really like the direction you're going and the fact that you kind of sit in that model of efficiency for real estate category.
Our third contestant, Barrett, had a family emergency, so we won't be giving any feedback to Lisara at this time. We'll do that off-site. Well, have we made a decision?
I think we have.
I think we have. It's my pleasure to tell you, Dan, that you are the winner of this episode of Elevator Pitch. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Moving them up, that's something I really have to focus on, drive that culture and make it a reality.
This week's winner will advance to the next round with a chance to pitch live on stage in front of 1,000 tech and business leaders at the 2018 GeekWire Summit in October. In our next episode, 3 new entrepreneurs will hop on board the Smith Tower elevator, competing for startup glory. Check out geekwire.com/elevator pitch for new episodes.